Welcome back to Voyager. We are on Adventure 12, Lesson 6. We're going to talk about suffixes today. Remember, suffixes are word parts we can add to the end of a word to change the word. The first one is EST. Remember, EST can add the meaning most to a word. So think about this sentence. January is the coldest month. EST adds the meaning most to cold. So January is the most cold month. Look at ER. ER can add the meaning more to a word. So listen to this sentence. January is colder than August. The ER adds the meaning more, so more cold. ER can also add the meaning someone who does something to the end of a word. So think of the word teacher. A teacher is someone who teaches. A baker is someone who bakes. A farmer is someone who farms. So sometimes when you see ER, you've got to use the context clues around the word to figure out if they mean more or someone who does that job. Okay? Okay? FUL. Full. Full means full of. The dog was joyful when we let him out of the house to run. Joyful, full of joy. Less. Less means without. So if someone is hairless, what are they? Probably bald, right? Because less means without. Without hair. LY. In a manner. So whatever you put that at the end of, in that way, okay? So the baby stomped off angrily. In an angry manner. All right, so we can use these suffixes to change the way we use words. In a previous adventure, we learned about inventions. We read about how inventions like the airplane and bicycle have changed how we travel. Now we will read about how other inventions have changed how we make books and other things. So let's look at the words they're going to want us to use today. The first one is print. Print. Put words on paper. Please print your story using your best handwriting. The next one, centuries. Centuries. Periods of 100 years. The Declaration of Independence was signed more than 2 centuries ago. Attention. Notice or care. The children gave a lot of attention to the puppy. And the last one is 3-dimensional. Whoops, that's an E. Dimensional. 3-dimensional. You might hear people say 3D. Solid, having depth, height, and width. A cube is a 3-dimensional shape. Think about playing with a dice. That's a cube, isn't it? It's a 3-dimensional shape. Okay, we're going to read this passage. It's called Bringing Books to Life. Every day, people print pages of text with just a click of a computer button. But printing has not always been so easy. Long ago, printing a page took days. But ways of printing have changed over the centuries. Now printers can spit out a page in seconds. Long before there was printing, people wrote everything out by hand. This was a lot of work and took forever. Few books were made. No one knows exactly when printing began, but the oldest printing people know about was done in China. It was called woodblock printing. People carved words or patterns into the woodblocks. They stamped the pages with ink. Woodblock printing was faster than writing, but people still needed a quicker way to print. And the caption says, today you can print quickly from your computer. Remember, captions tell about the pictures. Okay, this next page has a heading, and the heading is the first printing machine. Remember, headings give us hints about what we're going to read about. In 1438, Johann Gutenberg invented a new way to print. He made a machine called a printing press. He formed letters out of metal. He moved the letters to make blocks of words. Then he spread ink on the blocks. His machine pressed paper up against ink to print words. The machine could make books faster, and the books were cheaper than handmade ones. Rich people looked down on these books. They thought handmade books were better. But more people could buy the cheaper books. Many people learned to read because of them. What does cheaper mean? We've got an ER. Cheaper means more cheap, right? Less expensive. Okay, the caption says, 3 men work hard at a printing press. Printing today and tomorrow. That's the heading. Even though the printing press was faster, much of the work still needed to be done by hand. Running a printing press was tiring for the workers. This changed around 1800. Printing presses began to be run by engines. They needed less attention from workers. Then, around 1970, people began to use computers to print. Printing words with a computer is quick and easy. Printing books is easier than ever. Soon, people began to wonder what else they could print. Today, 3D printers make all kinds of three-dimensional objects, like toys or car parts. Your coat is missing a button? Print a new one. Printing has changed so much through the years, we can only imagine what's next. And the picture shows a 3D printer, and the caption says, if someone needs a new tooth, 3D printers might be able to help. Wow. So printing has come a long way from the old days when they had to copy those books into pages. Even when they used those feathers, right? Those quill pens and dipped them in ink. I think we've talked about that before. So printing has certainly come a long way. You learn that figurative language is an interesting way of saying something ordinary. Here's an example from the first page. Now printers can spit out a page in seconds. Now that doesn't really mean spit, like, right, spit. It just means it comes out of the printer really quickly, doesn't it? Do you think the author wrote this passage to give you information, persuade you to do something, or entertain you? Ooh, we're talking about author's purpose here. They're giving us information. Remember, we would call that informational text, wouldn't we? Why do you think the author used the headings, the first printing machine, and printing today and tomorrow? Remember, headings give us information about what we're about to read. So when we have a heading, usually they're in bold print, maybe they're in a different color, it gives us a hint about what we're about to read about. What are some reasons people wanted to find better ways of printing? It took a long time, didn't it, to copy books by hand. I've seen you guys write spelling sentences and get tired. Can you imagine copying a whole book? So they needed to make a way to make it faster, to make it easier, so that more people would have access to books. If people were still copying books by hand, not a whole lot of people would be able to read, would they? Can improving printers improve people's lives? Well, yes, right? Okay, better printers allow more people to have books and other things to read. 3-dimensional printers can create objects we need, like they said, car parts and toys, and maybe even a tooth if someone was missing one. Okay, great. I will see you tomorrow for the next episode.